to people to even considering. But we just need to look back in history, see what happened before. We had millions of people, for example, that were directly impacted and died just from the Mount Tambora eruption alone in 1815, just one volcano. When that volcanic eruption occurred, it was devastating around the planet. And we're talking about decades of cold weather, decades of earthquakes of 7.0 to 8.0, possibly a Cascadia eruption much larger than that. On and on and on. We're looking at the most dangerous geophysical period in human history, according to our research, between this year and 2038. So I'm not aware of anyone that's actually gone in and analyzed the potential impact, but needless to say, more Americans will die in the next 10 to 15 years than ever before in our country's history, not by mankind, but by natural forces. Cold climate, ill effects, crop losses, civil disturbances that occur as a result, and then earthquakes and volcanic activity. So not a good time to be around, but it's the best time right now to start getting prepared.
And that's a great message to take home, and all of you should be doing your own research on this. Regardless of what John and I have talked about tonight, I personally encourage you to do your own research. You have Google, you have a library, online resources are everywhere now. And I try to encourage you, please do your own research, come up with your own findings, and then move from that point.
Well said. I mean, that's the beauty of the age we're in, that we have the internet available to us. We don't have to be bound by the decades of global warming propaganda. Thanks to the internet and people like you who are on it, we do have the real truth out there. We just need to go look for it.
And I do thank you for your time, and we'll wrap up right there. And if anybody has questions, you can contact John or myself at Adapt 2030. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. By the way, the 2012 losses that you're talking about in the Southeast Asia area, cold related. In 2008, I predicted another cold dip in global climate in 2012. And it occurred right on schedule. One of my many predictions. Dr. Rich Schweier, who wrote the foreword to Upheaval, has done an excellent job in following my career and all my predictions. And he wrote a truly powerful foreword in Upheaval.
Just on a personal note, can I ask you, when you were talking about the 2012, because it froze everything in Thailand as well. Northern Thailand was blanketed in ice. The hill tribe people, they're not used to that kind of cold. And actually they're at elevation too, at 1,200 meters, then it drops to freezing. They're just not used to that. So what do you see for the upcoming next cold wave coming through this Southeast Asia area? Did you look into that as well or not?
I did not, but I will tell you the prediction I made in 2008 for 2012 was based on the La Nina or the ENSO cycle, which is a 4-year cycle. Curiously, when 2012 came around, the Obama administration said this is the warmest year ever recorded. And of course, they said that for almost every year. But when we went back and looked at the data, we thought he was correct and we were wrong. And then I pulled up the satellite temperature data and I realized I was correct once again. We did have a big dip, almost as bad as 2008. And in 2008, I had my first TV news conference and announced the end of global warming. No one attended that news conference of any merit.
Nor did they pass it through their social media. Nobody wanted to touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
That's right. I mean, this was when Al Gore and the media were at peak. Global warming was everything. Even Senator McCain was saying, as a president, if he got elected, he would end global warming by shutting down CO2 production. I mean, ridiculous things were going on, and none of them were talking about global cooling, that's for sure. So, but that's typical of my life in climate research. I'm always saying things at the worst possible time. Correct, but still the worst possible time. Again, this is an area to look at the eddy minimum as an opportunity. given that there's going to be widespread destruction, loss of life, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity as well. We just need to target ourselves accordingly. And that's what Adapt 2030 is all about, in my opinion. It's to say, hey, adaptation is the secret, is the key to the future. You cannot fight this thing. You better learn to adapt. And adaptation doesn't mean just mere survival. It means thriving, doing well. Get on top of the heap. Don't get stuck under it. What I'm doing with the House and the Senate committee right now is trying to make it very clear that there are not just two camps in the climate issue, the global warming camp, but there's a third camp, which is the sun-driven cold climate camp, if you will. And I'm trying to make sure that everyone knows that there are three pedestals on this stool, and we're only talking with two. And the most important pedestal, the solar-driven climate pedestal, we don't even talk about. So that's my goal now with the Trump administration, to get them out there in front, start talking about, hey, what's happening with the sun and what happened the last time the sun did this, and then let them steer the discussion that way. Now that the government is reviewing what to do with this climate change story, and in every department of the government what to do with it, I think they're taking a different tack. And now the House committee has gotten very aggressive on investigating NOAA's data manipulation. And I'm feeding them information on that level. By the way, one of the things, if you go to the website, veritanspublishing.com, on that I've added a new component that says, if you will tell me where you heard about this on a radio station or an online interview, I'll take another 10% off the book and sign the book and send it to you, no shipping and handling. But they have to say, okay, I saw it on David Devine's Adapt 2030, and then they get the discount. So that's out there already. But that's what I want them to do. I want them to learn enough from this internet interview that they take the next step and say, I want to learn more. That's all I want them to walk away with. I want to learn more. And then they're going to start doing what you recommend. Just Google and find a wealth of information. If you get the book or not, I want you to start thinking about how to prepare for the next cold era. The new cold era can be a new gold era for those who adapt and adjust and target their investments. I believe, for example, there are billionaires to be made in just the mass production of long shelf life food storage. The next billionaires could easily come out of just that one field alone. If we now start seeing investments in cold climate technology, crop growing technology for the cold climate, that'll change a lot of people's attitudes. So what we need, what I'd like to see, is one superstar in each of these areas: a superstar in Wall Street, a superstar in Washington, a superstar in agriculture. All I can do at this point is keep talking, keep working with people like you, and just get the message out. Well done, sir. Thanks again.
Finally, thank you. I'm so glad we had a chance. I'm grateful and thankful for this.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.